Hi, my name is Micha Logan, and I'm testifying on They Overcame By. On May 9th of 2013, I received a phone call after going to the doctor for a regular womanly check. They told me that I needed to go get a mammogram, and I said to myself, why do I need to go get a mammogram? I'm young. You're not supposed to get a mammogram until you're like 30, late 30s into your 40s. I'm definitely not there yet. But she told me that it was something that I needed to do. So I said, okay. I'm thinking she maybe next year. She's like, no, the next day. I go, I get a mammogram. They take me to get some pictures. They bring me back in to take some more pictures. And I'm like, okay, what's going on here? They say, you know what, Miss Logan, we need you to come back next week to do a biopsy. We need to do 2 biopsies. I said, okay, I guess I have to do that. So that entire week, I was just really prayerful. Like, I really don't know what's going on, Lord, but whatever it is, I know you got me. Went in for the biopsy that following week. I had to wait a few more days. I went in on a Thursday. I had to wait till that Monday to get my results. That Monday was May 20th. I was sitting at work. I was about to end my show, and I was doing my last break. I work at a radio station. And I get the phone call. It's my doctor's office. She says, hey, Miss Logan, how are you? I'm like, I'm great. How are you? She's like, I'm great. I have the results from your biopsy. I said, okay. She's like, can you talk? I said, of course I can talk. Because in my mind, I'm thinking, surely nothing's wrong with me. Well, she gets quiet and she says, well, we tested 2 spots. One of them came back benign and the other one is cancerous. I have to say, I was at a loss for words. And working in radio, that's really difficult to be at a loss for words. But I don't remember too much of what she said after that. I just remember tears flowing down my face and thinking to myself, how am I going to tell my family? How am I going to tell my job? I don't want to die. All I heard was cancer. I didn't know anything about it. Keep in mind, my grandmother, I've been taking her to her treatments for her specific type of cancer that she has. So I was familiar with certain things, but when it happens directly to you, it's just something, it's a change. It changes the dynamic of everything. I remember hanging up with her. She told me to come down to the doctor's office. I hung up the phone, and I just cried. I immediately called my pastor. I called Pastor AD, and I said, Pastor AD, this is what happened. I'm crying on the phone with him, and he's like, six, calm down, tell me what's up. And he immediately starts to pray with me. He immediately gives me encouraging words. He tells me to wipe my tears. It's going to be okay. I wipe my tears for a couple of seconds. I go in, I talk to my boss. His mother just recently passed away from cancer, so he was already on something else. So when I walked in, he knew what was going on, and he just hugged me. This is probably the first time my boss and I have ever hugged, but I needed that hug at that moment because I was broken. I didn't know what to do. I called my family members, and from then on, it was just a cycle of going to nonstop doctor's appointments, nonstop, just my family coming down here and them telling me what I had to do. Here's the deal. So I had 3 doctors. I had an oncologist, I had a doctor for radiation, and then I had a doctor for something else. It was just crazy. I've never been to the doctor this much in my entire life. I was depressed for an entire week. It was exactly a week, and I remember it like it was yesterday because it was one of those things where I'm a happy person. for the most part. I don't really have too many bad days. But when you're told at a young age, I've been a vegetarian all my life, I pray, I have faith, I come from a family of prayers, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do any of that, and then you're told you have breast cancer, stage 2 breast cancer, at the age of 31, and they have no idea where it came from. Doesn't run in my family. I'm not a statistic. They had no idea where it came from. And I had to remember, after going through that week, I remember talking to one of my god aunts who had suffered from breast cancer, and she basically was giving me words of encouragement and told me to buck up and survive. I was like, oh, that's what I have to do? Buck up and survive. And I remember getting off the phone with her, and I fell on my knees and I prayed to God, and I said, God, for whatever reason you gave me this, for whatever reason I have this, but you're going to get the glory after this. And I just kept thinking it and thinking it. So I got up, I went to church that next day. My heart was heavy. It was heavy. And then I remembered 3 things that I prayed God, that I asked God for in the beginning of the year. One of them was to increase my faith. The second one was for me to appreciate my job more. And the third one was for me to be more active in the community. And when I tell you all that God answered all 3 of my prayers through me having breast cancer, it was just unbelievable. I wanted to keep it to myself, but then someone came up to me and said that because of my platform, working at a radio station, and who I was, that it wouldn't be fair to the community for me to keep it to myself. And I had to really pray about it, like, all jokes aside, like, because I just felt like that's so personal. Like, for someone to, like, I'm about to lose my hair, who knows what other effects chemo is going to have on me, and to go through that in the public eye, I don't want anybody to see me. But the Lord kept having things happen so that I had to be upfront about it. So finally, one day in August, I came clean on the air. And the love and support that I received from the Tennessee Valley is unmatched. And the love and support that I received from women who had been battling whether or not to go get their mammograms, they felt something in their breast and they weren't sure. And through me, I was able to encourage them. Yes, I had 18 weeks of chemo. Once every 3 weeks, I lost my hair, appetite. I had to take all types of medicines. There were times where I could not even walk. There were times at night I would just be crying out to God, like, Lord, please, I just want to go to sleep. Can you get me through the night? Hold back the night. Give me strength to fight. Like, I will do whatever you need me to do, Lord, but just get me through the night. The Lord would get me through the night. I would get up and I would go to work. I went to work every day with the exception of the days that I had chemo. I was just determined to live. It wasn't an option for me. I had things to do. I felt like I had people depending on me. I would come to this institute and I would be with these doctors and these nurses, and I said, okay, whatever we got to do. I will never forget, I came here once, and the man, he was about to go through his chemotherapy, and he said to me, can you give me a little bit of hope? And I said, sir, you do know that I'm about to have treatment too. And he was like, you just look like you have so much joy inside of you, and I just want what you have. And that goes to show you, like, you never know when you walk into a building, like, what somebody sees. Like, no matter what, I just felt like I had to come in here I would hear 3 times a week with a smile on my face, letting people know, like, yeah, I have it, but I gotta live. Like, there's 24 hours in a day. For 3 hours of the day, I'm gonna be here having chemo. The rest of the day is mine and God's. What are we gonna do with it? That was just kind of my outlook on things. Listen, I may smile, it was not easy. It was very difficult. But I was blessed because what I went through was not nearly as bad as some of the stories that people were telling me and what they were going through. But I just feel like God had He took special care of me. There wasn't a time where I wasn't praying to Him, wasn't asking for Him to give me strength. Sometimes God gives you things because He needs you to come closer to Him. And I really do believe that that's why I had to go through what I needed to go through. Like, I needed to go through this. My faith has never been stronger. Giving God glory, giving God praise, just seeing His wonders. And someone asked me, well, if you could do it all over again, would you? And I would have to say yes, and here's why. Because if any one of my friends was able to draw closer to God by praying for me, and then seeing God work his miracle in me, and that renewing their faith in God, it was so worth it. If it just happened to one of my friends, because I had so many of my friends that were really praying for me, that hadn't prayed in forever. So if I had to get it to help them and their breakthrough with what they had going on with God, so be it. Like, I will be used as a vessel. I will be used as a testimony. Whatever it has to happen, whatever God's will, let his will be done. And I know people say that all the time, but when you're in God's will, you're protected regardless. And I had to learn that. Like, yeah, this chemo may kick my butt. And yeah, I may not feel like, the surgery, I don't know what's going to happen. They didn't have to take my breast. I was able to keep it, had a lumpectomy. And after the lumpectomy, I woke up and, I had a lumpectomy on a Tuesday. By Friday, they were calling me and telling me I was cancer-free. God is good. They told me I still had to do the radiation, but that was just a precaution. And I was like, I can take that precaution. But let me tell you something. Radiation, I had to do 37 treatments. And 37 treatments of radiation every single day. Mentally and emotionally draining. Chemo wasn't this hard for me mentally. The surgery wasn't hard for me mentally and emotionally. But for whatever reason, I'm at the end of the race. And I am just feeling down. I'm feeling depressed. I'm feeling like I can't do it. I don't want to go to the doctor today. I don't want to sit on this table. I was just tired. I was just so exhausted. I cried more during the 37 treatments of radiation than I did during any of that chemo, any of when I first found out, because I was just worn. I just wanted it to be over. But then God came to me one night and he said, listen, this race is not given. And he just spoke to me. We're going to get through this. We are almost done. And I finished my last radiation with a smile on my face. I got off that table and I jumped. And I sat in this parking lot right over there. And I cried for 30 minutes because I said, victory is mine. I'll never forget something Pastor AD said to me. He was like, Six, with your hair falling out, that means the chemo's working. Whatever reason, you have this, but you will be victorious. That man of God spoke so much life over me, continuously telling me there will be glory after this. We are going to get through this. We are going to fight together. And to see people who I just met, who I didn't know, rally around me and pray for me, give me strength and give me encouragement. One thing with any illness is it's about your mental. And if your mentals aren't right, and if your spirituality isn't right, you won't get through anything. I had to ask myself, what do people go through who don't have God in their life? Because I could not imagine going through any of this, even now, without being able to get on my knees or turn over and pray and cry out to God. Because there were just some things my parents didn't understand, my friends didn't understand, my pastor didn't understand. It was just some things I had to let go with God. And what do you do when you don't have that? Who are you going to? I really feel sorry for people who don't have that connection and that relationship with God. I am so grateful. When I tell you I'm so grateful for what God has done. I'm grateful for the things that he's doing in my life. I'm out in the community more, and I'm able to speak freely about what God has done for me. I'm able to speak freely about the love of God and how he's worked in my life on the radio at a hip-hop and R&B station, which is really not heard of, but because of what my job saw and how they saw God work through me, Six, it's okay. Do what you got to do. We see it. My strength, my faith is so renewed. I had cancer. Cancer did not have me. Point blank, period. I am thankful for everyone from here to Detroit to California to overseas that prayed for me, that kept me covered. It's nothing like having extended church family, local church family to keep you under God's umbrella. That is an umbrella that I never want to be from up under. Because when it rains, Lord, when it rains, you got that umbrella that's right there to just keep you so safe. I have to go through now checkups once every 3 months, every 4 months. I have to take a pill for the next 10 years. This pill is supposed to keep the cancer away. I have to maintain a healthy diet. God is good because that's all I have left to do. And sometimes I struggle at night. Like last night, I could barely move my legs. The medication makes my legs really, really sore. But I prayed, Lord, I just want to get some sleep tonight. Wake me up in the morning. I could run a mile right now if I wanted to. But it's just in those times where it's just like, I know that if I don't have anybody else, like, dependent on God is just so crucial. And for me, going through my journey is not going to be like the next young lady's journey. My journey is not going to be like the older lady at church journey. Everybody has a different journey and a different walk. Mine was special because it was mine. I dealt with it firsthand. I had to receive and put out whatever came to me. And I had to reverse anything negative. I had to put it back out positive. I would say whenever they would inject me with anything, these are just me getting superpowers. That was just kind of how I had to look at things because, like I said, it's all about your mindset. From May 20th to January 20th, that's when I had my last, January 20th of 2014 is when I had my last radiation treatment. And I felt that it was so significant being that it was on the 20th day of the first month of a new year. And I started May 20th to January 20th. Those 8 months, God worked a miracle. What you see right now, what you're watching right now, is a miracle. Like I said, they don't know where it came from. They don't know how long I had it. It was 4 centimeters. 4 centimeters is a large tumor for someone my size. It was growing at a rapid rate, and they had to get it. And they got it. But the fact that my tumor shrunk halfway through my chemo, I know that was God. That was God telling me, psst, I got you. But I'm not done with you yet. There are other people that still need to hear this. There are other people that you still need to be a blessing to get them through their days. I'm still working on you and your faith. I'm still getting you to a point where I need you to be excited about opening your word and depending on reading your word and coming home and understanding what fasting and praying and just really falling down and surrendering to God on your knees. When you have to fall down on your face and you're crying to God and you're just screaming and crying out to God and all you can say is, Jesus, you all I got. Jesus, I need your help. Listen, that right there, never experienced that in my life. Boy, it was so refreshing when I got back up off my knees and to know that I was taken care of. Someone said if I ever get it again, I'm not going to get it again. I don't believe that it'll ever come back. That is my faith. That is up here. I believe that whatever God needed to do with me, I believe that he did it and he's continuing it in a different way. Whatever trial I go through now, I can handle it with a different perspective. Depression, heartache, pain, I look at it all differently. My advice to women out there, please go get checked. Do the self-examinations. They tell you to do them for a reason because it could pop up. No one is exempt. I met young girls who were 21, 22, 25, 26, 18 that were diagnosed with breast cancer. This is no longer your grandmother's and your great-aunt's disease. This is women that look like me. This is our disease. But it's our disease to conquer. Period. You can do it. Get checked. Don't be scared. If you need someone to go with you, ask someone to go with you. Get all the information you need. And know your family history. Ask questions. Because a lot of times, you think it's something's going on that it's just you. No, honey. It is something that's in your family that's being passed down. And because we like to not talk about things in the black family, a lot of times things get pushed under the rug. Now is not the time. Know your body. Know your health. And more importantly, ask God to reveal things to you. Ask God to show you so that you can be aware. And then go in everything in faith. Go in faith. My faith, I'm telling you, like I'm sitting here thinking about, I'm looking at this institute, and I just know what it was like coming in here all the time. Like, today, this is what I got to do. I got to sit in this room for 3 hours, and I got to get this stuff put in me. And I know I'm going to be so weak when I leave out of here, but I got to get up tomorrow, and I got to go to work. That was my mentality. People would see me out, even the day I would have chemo, and then later on that night, I would be out at a restaurant. And my friends would be so mad at me, like, what are you doing? Get in bed. But I just felt like, nah, I got to live. Like, I got to live. God's got me. I'm going to be okay. God had me then, and he's got me now. I'm so blessed and able to be standing before you testifying. I hope that someone was blessed by anything that I said. I hope I made sense. I sounded like I was rambling. But this has just been a crazy journey for me. God is just so good. He's so amazing. And I've had amazing friends. Being here in Huntsville, Alabama, working at 103.1 We Up, my church family from Madison Mission to Oakwood University Church to All Nations Christian Center. The love, oh my goodness, just so much love. Pastor Bird, Pastor Chandler, Pastor AP. Like, I'm covered. I'm not covered just by my spiritual fathers. I'm covered by God. And to me, that's everything. So thank you. I want to publicly thank everybody that said a prayer for me. Everyone that sent a card, sent flowers to me. I hated flowers before all this happened. Like, I hated them. But now, the appreciation that I have for flowers, like, I see the beauty in it. It's all God. Like, all love, all God. I'm thankful for this amazing ministry, to allow different people to share their stories, because you never know what somebody can click on and what they may need right then at that moment that might save their lives and that might give them encouragement. And I hope that I was able to give anybody some form of encouragement. Again, I'm Micha Logan, and I'm just here to testify.